Jack Kirby's Mr. Miracle is about breaking free. Tom King's is about when you can't. Hey, super friends, Jake here with the Brave and the Boys, and today is an incredibly exciting day. My most anticipated release of the year has arrived. That is the absolute edition of Mr. Miracle done by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. This is one of my all-time favorite stories, and if you don't believe me, look how many times I own it, you know? So, and now it's in my favorite format ever, the Absolute Edition, and this is the definitive edition. We're going to give you some context to what led to them creating this story, what makes it so special, what you might need to read beforehand, and then we're going to flip through and show off the amazing art. There's over 2,730 panels in this storyline, and each one of them is a masterpiece. So Tom King, the writer, the Eisner award-winning writer, was dealing with a personal life crisis. There was a lot in the world going on, and he had a horrible panic attack and started questioning his own reality. This caused him to bleed all of that onto the page and get the idea of Mr. Miracle, the man who can escape everything except his own mind. When he pitched this to Mitch Gerads, they thought it would be impossible, but Mitch said, I'll try. And try he did, and succeed he did, and created one of the best comics I have ever read. I own this in single editions, the trade paperback, which I got signed by both of them, the standard size hardcover, and the deluxe edition. But I have been waiting for a Tom King and Mitch Gerads Absolute my entire time collecting, and they did not disappoint. So first, let's give some background history to the character of Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle was created by Jack the King Kirby back in his Fourth World series, and Mr. Miracle's whole gimmick was he could escape any trap and he would always be free. Now, this really has to do with what Jack Kirby was feeling creatively in the comics landscape, in the comics industry. He wasn't treated fairly by Marvel or DC, and he felt like he was trapped creatively. And Mr. Miracle's Fourth World was how he got to experience that creative freedom that he longed for. Now, Tom and Mitch took this and made their own story with it. In this story, the only thing that Mr. Miracle can escape is his own mind. So while it does have intergalactic battles with parademons and Darkseid, it also has how do you prep for a party? How do you raise a family? How do you be a good husband? How do you renovate the condo? It deals with themes of anxiety, trauma, pain, and it is one of the most beautiful stories I have ever read. Now, I don't want to spoil much more. Let's go into comparing it to the other editions and then flip through the amazing artwork. Now, before we jump into the gorgeous artwork inside, I want to show the build quality of this Absolute and what makes it so special. So this is one of the most uniquely and intricately designed Absolutes that I have ever seen. It might be the greatest of them all. This was actually designed by Mitch Gerads himself, which is awesome. Now, as you can see, Mr. Miracle, scot-free, is trapped inside a device that he can't seem to break free of. But this is not just a cool design, it's also meaningful. One of the big things you'll see throughout this book is their use of the 9-panel grid, something popularized by Jack Kirby and something that makes this book uniquely gorgeous. And this also gives it a 9-panel grid. So there's just so much love and detail put into this. Now we're going to turn it around and we're going to see that this is a DC Black Label book. So we do have that DC Black Label on it. I would have loved to see the Bullet logo, but I guess, you know, it is a little adult. There's some adult themes in this book. You know, I was nervous if they got one for our book club, but then we turn it around and it looks like it's a mother box or some sort of piece of Fourth World technology, which is awesome. And then lastly, you're going to see the title, the logo, and it is just gorgeous. Now we want to compare it to a couple of the different formats that it's released in and then go through the art and show you. I owned this originally in single issues, but those are all at storage at my parents' house. This is the trade paperback, which I want to show off that, yes, I did get it signed and remarked by the creative duo team. Now, something that's important is we got to ask the question, is this worth the upgrade from the standard size or the deluxe edition? Now, if you're going from the art perspective, this is the standard size. You can see how much larger the Absolute is, and the standard size and the trade use kind of a, you know, little cheaper feeling glossy paper. Now, what was very interesting to me is when you look at the deluxe edition, which I believe is still in print and you can still find for a reasonable price, you can ask yourself, is this okay to just spring for the deluxe edition? And yes, it is. But one thing that I want to point out before we flip through is if you go through the pages in the deluxe edition, it's different. It's more of a matte, which I like. I mean, here's the thing. I like gloss because the colors are better, but then I've never complained about glare, when I'm reading a matte book. Now, I want to say that in this book specifically, because of the use of the 9 panel grid, seeing them in the absolute format is giant and probably the best way. So, this book does retail normally for $125. It is 440 glorious pages, and it is currently on sale for about, I think it's 79 at Organic Price Books, but you can save $2 with code Braveboys. Now, lastly, we're going to show you what it looks like when you take it out of the slipcase. You see our titular character, and he is trapped and ensnared. And on the back, you see him screaming for help, and that is kind of his internal feelings through a lot of this book. One last thing that I'm going to show off that this comes with. It's always cool when absolutes come with some little unique thing that you're not going to find anywhere else. This is a signed, oh, there's a little bad glare there, signed Mr. Miracle poster. So that is fun, super unique. No other format has that. But now let's jump into the overview and show you the fantastic art inside and why this is a masterpiece. So now we're diving into this absolute masterpiece. So as you can see, this is much more glossy. The deluxe edition is a matte, which I think doesn't do the colors justice. So we have the creative team of Tom King, Mitch Gerads on both art and color. Mike Norton did the prologue, which gives you a little background history. So that's the first question to answer is, do you need to read anything before this? And what I'm going to say is no, it's a standalone story, but having some familiarity with Jack Kirby's Fourth World Saga. I'm not going to say you can't read this until you read all 1,600 pages of the Omni, but it definitely helps you can get some inside jokes and references. It also helps to have some understanding of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's relationship. We have Clayton Cowles as the letterer, and a awesome creative team. So the first thing that I want to note, and this might not be the most exciting thing, is read the foreword. This was written by Tom King in 2018 about the panic attack and his feeling of not understanding reality and the pain that he was feeling and all the craziness and how he wrote it out. And one of the most important things is at the beginning, I told Mitch I wanted to do this thing, but I thought it was impossible. No one could draw it. Mitch said, let me try. 2,327 panels later, the impossible is done. It's here, and it's impossibly lovely. So that just shows you the love and care put into this book. So it starts off with the prologue, giving you the secret origin of Mr. Miracle. Now, here's the thing. The art style you're going to see in the prologue is not the art style you're going to see in the book. But this is important if you've never read Fourth World, if you have no idea who these characters are. So essentially, you have to know the story of Orion and Mr. Miracle. Darkseid is basically the devil of the DC universe, and Highfather is basically God. And they were at war for 100 million years, thousands of years, and they realized the only way to make a truce was if they exchanged sons. So Scott Free, the son of God, was sent to hell to be raised by the devil and Granny Goodness, and Orion was sent to basically heaven to be raised by God. Doesn't really seem like a fair deal. Well, Mr. Miracle or Scott Free spent his life being tortured in the fire pits or the hell pits until he escaped and became a hero, found his love, Big Barda. They got married, and that is all you need to know is Darkseid is. Now, the book starts off, I'm going to give a little bit of a content warning. If self-violence triggers you, skip ahead. But the book starts off with a pretty dark experience. Mr. Miracle committed or attempted to unalive himself. Now, moving forward, you're going to get Big Barda's reaction to it, and it's so fun to see how big she is in comparison to regular people. And you'll get these little moments, like in this one, it's a little joke about a story where kids were told to draw whatever they wanted, and some drew a dinosaur, some drew pirates, and one kid drew God, and the teacher goes, you don't know what God looks like, and he says, yeah, until now. So there's little things like that about what is the face of God and things like that. And it's interesting to see everyone's reaction to you'll see this dark side is. Dark side is, I feel like, is representation of anxiety and societal pressure and intrusive thoughts. And everyone has their own reactions. Here you see Orion, punching him and saying, stand. And Scott gets up and he goes, standing. And their relationship is really interesting. And that's one of the things you're going to notice. Look how superhero adorned Orion is. And they're just wearing regular clothes. And you'll get these interludes of Mr. Miracle escaping different things. And oh, this is an important thing to note. This panel right here, he looks at his wife and he goes, "Your eyes, they're not blue, they were blue." And she goes, "What? My eyes have always been brown." So there's a lot of things you need to look for in this book about reality not being as it seems and different things. So this is Oberyn, his mentor who passed away. Now, Oberyn in this book is definitely a stand-in for Jack the King Kirby, and that's important to keep in mind. Later on, you're going to see a character named the Funky Flashman, and he was always intended to be Stan Lee, who Jack Kirby felt didn't credit him in the way that he needed to be. This is awesome. A whole panel of just a whole page of Darkseid is. So essentially, they go off to go to war because Darkseid has the anti-life equation, which basically means doom for every universe you can imagine. Look how gorgeous each of these panels are. So you're going to see moments of these gigantic battles and wars. You're going to see moments where they're like, how do I get my mother box to get the shower to work? And it's awesome. There's just cool moments throughout, relationships throughout. Like Granny Goodness so evil, she's starving this guy to death and making them eat Jello in front of him. So it is a wild book. You are going to be in for a ride. And oh my gosh, they make Light Ray such a douchebag in this book. But at its core, it's not about the superhero antics or the war or the gods. It's about a married couple. It's about being a husband, being a father. This I read originally when I was single. Oh, this is awesome. You'll see Scott. He throughout the book he wears superhero shirts of his fellow superheroes, and you'll see some little references. But I read this first when I was single, and it was the first book I read after I had been married when I came back. So here's Funky Flashman, and he's kind of a sleazebag, kind of a con man. He's toned down a little bit in this one, but he definitely is that stand-in for Jack Kirby. Um, Moving on. Oh my gosh, this is one of the best moments. Orion is judging him, and they're on trial for his life about if he's going to be executed. And what do? They had to get a salad tray because you can't have guests over and not be a good host. So it's the absurdity, it's the mundane human life moments mixed in with the new stand-in for God in this universe. And yeah, it's wild. So we're gonna jump ahead, and it's also kind of like life about life in LA. So you'll see some landmarks like in traffic. That's if you I'm from LA. Traffic is something that we all deal with. But it's about the love between Scott and Big Barda. It's about them becoming parents, and it is a excellent book. So this is my favorite issue. They're trying to break into heaven, and the whole thing is every awesome action sequence you can imagine, and you can skip past the words and just watch this vivid, intricate action sequence. But if you watch the words, they're debating renovating the condo. They're like, we don't need the counter, but the counter is where our mail goes. And she's like, we only have mail there because there's a counter. And they're just having this I mean, if you're married, you know these debates, and they're not arguments. They're just like you're trying to get on the same page with your partner. And at the end, he's like, "Why do we even need an extra bedroom? Why do we need an extra bedroom?" And she tells him, "It is because I'm pregnant." And it is just a heartwarming moment. He stops everything and just hugs her and says, "I love you." So awesome. We're going to jump ahead now. I don't want to spoil the rest of the book, but he just gets put in some really hard situations. Here's Darkseid eating a veggie tray, which you can't miss. But we're going to jump ahead now and show the extras because this is jam packed with extras. They poured so much love into this book. So we start with the full variant cover gallery. Now, I just want to flip through the deluxe edition for a quick second and pull up the extras. This gives you a variant cover gallery, but look at how much more size you get on the absolute. and look at how much better the colors are. This is the matte, so I feel like the colors don't do it justice, and you get more covers with the Absolute Edition. So you get the full variant cover gallery. Just awesome, awesome covers. Here is that what they made a poster. I always love this one of them sitting on the beach with the pier in the background. Darkseid is one of my favorite images in this whole book, which I made a t-shirt of. Now, I just want to show you. This is all extras. That is a crazy amount of extras. So you get scripts and you get images that you don't get anywhere else. And it's so cool to see how much intricate detail went into every page. I love reading the scripts. If they released a script, just the full script of this book, I would read it and be in love. And then there's even more special extras that you don't get anywhere else as we keep going ahead. So look, script after script after script with the images next to it. Now, you start to see images of the old Mr. Miracle from Fourth World, which inspired a lot of this. A lot of unpublished, like look how many scripts. Just I can't wait to dig into all of this and read all the goodies. We're gonna jump ahead a little bit. So, I mean, that's a crazy amount of script. Now, this is probably my favorite thing. They call this Hidden Miracles. So, this shows the real life images that Mitch Gerads used to stage. And it's him holding his baby. It's him grabbing something that could be a carrot. It's him pretending to be Darkseid and eating a carrot. So, this is just a treat to see like the real life images that they add into this. I'm going to check. I don't remember if this portion is in the deluxe edition, but I think that's important because it's my favorite. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. The extra, this book is full of extras that are not in any other edition. So trust me, if you're into extras behind the scenes, it's a no-brainer. This book was full of love. I love this. So here they show everybody that they reference. So here you see Tom and Mitch, but all these other people that I didn't even recognize, like Scott Ackerman from Comedy Bang Bang, who follows me on Blue Sky. Little shameless plug. And then you get a tribute to King, and these are the first and last line of dialogue in every issue of Mr. Miracle's limited series, except the last page of issue 12, directly quotes text from the opening and sequences of Jack Kirby's 1971 series. So this shows a lot of the pages that they were referencing, and this is awesome. This needs a Tashin edition or something. I mean, I'll be happy with the Absolute for now, but these are extra. I've never been crazy about extras. This might have the best extras of any Absolute ever, and I am just so in love with it. So pages after pages, and it's so cool to see what they were referencing because there's so much love poured into this book, and some of the development pages, how they worked on some of the covers. Get some Darkseid goodness. And that is it. Remember, if you want to pick this up, go ahead and use the link down below. You can save $2 and help support this channel with code Braveboys. And let's jump into my final thoughts. But lastly, I just want to say thank you to DC and Tom and Mitch and everybody involved with this book. And thank you all for watching me do an overview. This was a real treat. And that's going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank you all so much for supporting us and supporting this video. If you're interested in picking this up, again, you can do so at Organic Price Books. It'll be linked down below. And I want to give you guys a big announcement. We are close to finalizing a date for my interview with Tom King about this. And OPB graciously announced they would give me up to 5 copies of the Absolute to do as a giveaway. So if you're interested in this book, comment down below if you think this is the best Absolute you've ever seen. seen or what your favorite Absolute Edition is, and let me know if you'll be tuning into that interview, because I would love to have you there. It'll be a really fun time. I'm going to talk to my hero, and I cannot wait. I want to thank you all so much. One last shout out to our Discord. It's linked down below. We have book clubs, and it's a great way to meet your new comic book best friend. We're really fostering a beautiful community, and everyone is so supportive and kind, and we would love to have you there. And the best way you guys can support us is by commenting on this video, smashing that like button, clicking subscribe so you don't miss anything, and remember, keep reading and stay brave.